Hey folks, welcome to Season 8 of the Shifting Schools podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Udick, a longtime educational consultant, along with my co-host, Trisha Friedman.
Also a new-ish time educational consultant, and I love getting to co-host this show so that we always have a little bit of debate and lots of perspective on key educational issues that matter most to our listeners.
That's right. We cover K-12 education, bringing you, the listener, some of the great conversations from around K-12 education from researchers, authors, and classroom teachers.
We do a number of things. I allow them to use AI both in their rough drafts and in their final draft. And I tell them you can use X percentage of AI. I want that color coded in red. And then in their memos to me that come in the final draft, they talk about how they used AI, if they used AI, which programs they used, if they found it useful or not useful, all of those kinds of things. And I think that that's part of what we really need to be doing, is not just saying, yes, use it, or no, don't use it, but let's use it and then reflect. How well did it work? Did it do what you wanted it to do? If it's not doing what you want it to do, then are you wasting your time trying to use it? Are you not prompting correctly? Is it just not the right tool for the job?
Trisha, will you tell us what are some mini-series we have coming up this year?
Coming up this fall, we are diving deep into the intersection of AI and accessibility and AI from a higher ed perspective. We heard from our listeners, folks like you, and they told us what they wanted to hear more of. And I think now is a moment like no other where K-12 needs to be learning about what's happening in higher ed. We're all experiencing this great period of change together. So how might a podcast help us bridge and better understand each other?
But just asking my students, what do you know about AI? How are you using it? What are some ethical ways to use it? What do you think about cheating, not cheating? Like really just asking them and including them in the conversation. It's just interesting to me that we don't do that.
Jeff, do you want to say more about how folks can actually connect with this podcast?
Yeah, so the first thing you're going to want to do is subscribe so you do not miss any of our episodes. We drop an episode every single Monday, so you're going to want to make sure you subscribe. And then head over to shiftingschools.com where you can sign up for our newsletter, where the amazing Trisha Friedman gives you a free resource for you to use in your classroom with your students every single week. That resource pairs with our podcast episode, and you're not going to want to miss any of those free PDFs that Trisha creates. Trisha, if you're just listening to us, what are some of the things we did last year in season 7?
Well, we got a lot of feedback. Again, this was voted on by listeners who, for the summer series, they wanted to get playful. So we just did a very big deep dive into the power of play, what it means for us as adult learners, and of course, what it means for student learners. So again, we just want to emphasize, if you want to be a part of this conversation, we're always asking for feedback to help us think a little bit more about the issues that matter the most to you.
We're so glad that you're here. We're so glad that you found Shifting Schools. Whether you're going back and listening to episodes from the past, or you're here with us for episodes of the future, thank you for being part of the Shifting Schools community. And remember, you make the podcast. So until next time, we'll see you on the network.